What's up, guys? We're back again with the Realness Lounge podcast. We got Laquan back. Hey. He came back from the Bahamas right now.
Just for the occasion.
Suns out, guns out.
We got 80K podcast as our
What's
special
going on, people?
guest. And we got Grupo Strength right
What's
here.
up, guys?
Man, it's so good to be back and film again and just film content. I mean, I see a lot of inspirational videos from Grupo Strength. I was loving what he said about potential. Actually, a really good one. I was thinking about it. It was playing in my head because it's like we all have potential, but we're afraid to take the leap to get that potential.
Yes.
And I think today's episode is going to be more about inner work. You know, we can do outer stuff all we want, but if we're not healthy, I would say within ourselves, like inside of us, like what our patterns are, what our emotions are, you know, things like that. So what does inner work mean to you guys?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start us off. So inner work, when I hear that, is not only we can talk about the self-care thing, but also identifying that there's things that you need to work on, you're willing to work on, no matter what it takes to get it right. And that could be things like patience, like love, really being disciplined. You know what I mean? All of those things that you know that even your enemies point out. For me, right? Because they tell you your flaws. Yeah. But again, talking about how do you lock that in is a different story. But that inner work is those things that you know you need to work on, whether you're arrogant or not, you need to get right.
That's true. What about you?
Pretty similar to what my brother just said. I mean, for me, inner work really means to me is just developing a strong sense of self-awareness and a very honest self-awareness. Because a lot of people can play like, you know, they know what they're all about, you know, they know what their strengths and weaknesses are. But one of the hardest things that we will ever confront in our lifetime is not an enemy or opponent or anything like that. It's ourselves, okay? Confronting ourselves, confronting our own truths, good or bad, right? So having that sense of self-awareness, and then from there, like my brother said, identifying things that we need to work on, you know. But if you're not honest about it, if you don't look inward from an honest standpoint, you'll never grow either.
Wow.
So there has to be honesty with it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think about the growth part. What about you, Laquan? What do you think about inner work?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to piggyback off my brothers here. Yeah. So, you know, what it means to me is just you have to look at your reflection in the mirror. Like, you have to look at yourself, and sometimes it's ugly, and you got to face that. So it's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to look nice, you know. Inner work doesn't look nice. Inner work is not pretty. So you got to look at those things and then replace whatever you're lacking with something good. If you're quick to respond, you got to scale back a little bit. And sometimes that's hard for people to do because everybody feels like they got the answer. But really, if you take a step back and allow a day to pass, your answer is going to be completely different from what you had thought in that moment.
That's true. I feel like, too, you know, when it comes to being the best version of yourselves, which is what this bases are going to be, this is the first step, which is inner work, because you know, you can cut your hair, you know, have those fresh cuts, do what you need to do. Yeah. But if you're not, and you can go to the gym too, but you also need to be developing in yourself. Like, what are my patterns? And it takes literally getting real with yourself, like facing the mirror and just being like, what patterns do I need to work on? You know, like, let's say somebody is a giving person, right? But you never were comfortable with receiving. So now your inner work is to be able to receive. Or what are your needs? Because, like, let's say you were a person that always pleased people and wanted to get their needs met, taking care of them, emotional support, etc. Right. But where were you neglected at? And I think that's something that you have to get real with yourself, because you're like, you know, you're gonna pour and pour and pour, and then you're pouring from an empty cup. You're not pouring from a full cup. You're pouring because you want to fulfill their cup, and then boom, you're just empty. Now you need a refill. You know, So I think you know, part of being the best version of yourself is what you said, self-awareness as well. Why is self-awareness the key, the absolute key to grow?
Well, self-awareness is key for me for growth because I work in a space, I operate in a space, I exist in a space where people give me a lot of comments, and sometimes those comments can almost give a false delusion, right? Like you're not who you really think you are, but you're better than them, so they're putting you here. But I'm so self-aware of where I need to be and where I should be that I take those comments with humility, but at the same time knowing what my expectation is for myself.
Knowing the expectations. What about you?
So, again, it's all about just being honest with yourself, being brutally honest with yourself, because at the end of the day, the human mind is not trained to be disciplined on its own. By nature, our mind is just going to drift, and we're going to be reactive. We're going to act on impulse. We're going to allow circumstances to direct our path. But developing that discipline and then developing that self-awareness is where you're going to make the growth. Because if you can't acknowledge and take ownership of your shortcomings, you can't fix anything. So it has to start there. It has to start with a true acknowledgement. And then from there, taking the steps to fix that, whatever that may look like for you.
Like a plan, a plan in action.
Having a plan and then being intentional about it in every step you take.
That is so
and
true.
replacing those undesirable traits with good traits.
Right. That's so true. I agree. Having that plan. What about you, Laquan? When it comes to, being self-aware of your negative flaws and just like facing it, like, you know what? I need to work on this. This is what I need.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be a little vulnerable here. Yeah, so
Go ahead.
So with me, I have a pattern of when I'm in a certain level of my healing journey, I was so much better than how I was in the past, and now that I reached this certain level, I hop out of my healing journey thinking that I got it all straight when I needed to go a little bit further with the healing journey instead of jumping right into whatever I think it is needed, because once you're at a certain part of your healing, you can see who's not healed. You start attracting good.
Yeah.
Everything feels good. Your face gets brighter.
Right.
Your eyes are wider. You're
Right.
staying away from stimulants.
Right.
You're using less social media. You're working out more. You're eating healthier. You're starting to glow. And sometimes I get lost in the sauce and I hop out right away. As soon as I see that glow, boom, I hop out. And when I hop out, I end up being around, people who do need healing. And I find myself being a therapist to people when that's not my place. I need to just spend a little bit more time in that healing journey, and then I can step out into the world. So, sometimes I will step out in a soft state where I'm vulnerable, and I don't think I'm vulnerable, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes
No, I
sense,
can-
and
I
it's
can
good that
relate,
you're
man.
sharing that.
No, I can relate too.
Yeah, no, I think being vulnerable is hard, and especially as men, it's very hard to be open with your emotions, and it's good that you are, because that's how you heal. If we suppress our emotions, which I'm a victim of that. I like to say I'm not gonna think about it. I don't want to think about it all. We all get, people go to the gym, they don't want to think about what's really beneath it, but it's like you have to face those tough emotions in order to heal, because if you don't feel it, you're not gonna heal it. What do you think about that, ADK?
No, listen, I'm all about, it's called tough love. Like, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. I didn't grow up with many chances. It was like, yo, you got to figure this out, and you got to figure it out now. But what that allowed me to do as an adult is to take that accountability, take the responsibility. So I search for growth. I search for what are my weaknesses that I can improve on, because one, I'm married, I got kids,
Right.
and I got people that watch me outside of the house. But I focus on, if I get the house right first, which means my daily day-to-day being has to be on point. Then everybody else is taken care of. But I start in the house, and that's what vulnerability with my wife. Wife will point your flaws out all day, and I'm the person where, like, the old me, I don't. You can say whatever I don't really care. But
Right.
now I'm like, that's an arrogant way of thinking, because you're never going to grow.
Nope.
Now when I hear, you need to work on this, I don't take it as an offense. I take it as an opportunity to grow.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
And I think that's a transition, because I feel like when we're barely like in our healing journey, we're like, well, why are they telling me this shit? Like, I'm not gonna fucking work on shit. What the fuck? And that's when you make a big switch and you're like, oh, I see what they're talking about now.
Yeah,
I didn't see it
absolutely.
before. I'm defensive as fuck, because
Yeah.
I don't want to admit it, because it's like, it's hard to admit it because our ego. We don't want to be like, we don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a child, my dad had a plaque on his wall, and he would be like, rule number 1, I'm always right. Rule number 2, look at number 1.
Absolutely.
That's
yeah.
funny.
And when he would say that, I would remember. I would be like, but then one day I challenged my dad with the way of thinking. I'm like, wouldn't you want to be wrong sometimes? Because then how would you grow if you were always right? If you were always right all the time, how would you ever grow?
Very true.
Those mistakes and those darkest places, they lead you to different versions of yourself. Like, I'm sure everybody in this room has been into a very dark place within yourself, and it's hard to face that, and it's hard to go through that challenge,
Yeah.
because you don't want to face those demons, but it's like you have to at the same time,
Yep.
because that's where the healing is
Mm.
on the other side. And what do you think about that? When it piggyback off, what we
Yeah.
said about vulnerability and just, being able to step into the self-awareness and just,
Yeah, and also want to kind of touch on what you just said about the dark space, the dark places, right?
yeah,
Because I'm 50 years old, so there's been a lot of chapters to my life.
right,
I've hit rock bottom more than once.
right.
I've had to rebuild myself more than once.
Wow.
So I've been in dark places at several points in my life. The difference between the most recent regrowth and the regrowth that I've had in the past is that, in the past, I was still broken and did the work to fix the whatever the issue was that led me to, fall off at that point. But I can't really honestly say I worked on myself that much. I was still broken throughout those rebuilding processes. I never really faced my own truth. I never really faced, my own shortcomings and really came to terms or was even honest with myself, or even can't even say I had a sense of self-awareness yet at that point. That was more just kind of like putting out the fire and then, okay, we're gonna move forward now. But this most recent, rebuilding that I had, this was that moment of truth for me. This was where I was in that dark place, and I'm like, man, I'm in my mid 40s right now. Like I don't have years to waste anymore. Like I got to fix this at the root. Okay, and this is the point where I decided, okay, I'm gonna step outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to face the ugly truth, and I'm gonna look inward, and we're gonna fix this once and for all. And that's what it took for me.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah, for
good.
sure,
That's
bro.
really good.
Appreciate
It takes
it,
a
yeah.
lot. What do you think about that, Laquan? How he just
Yeah.
kind of like realized, like, I think it's like, it doesn't matter on the age. Like, we're all learning and growing
For sure.
as years go by. You could be 50, you could be 60. We're all learning and growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you saying that, when it comes to you facing those demons at 50 and you're like, this is the rebuilding stage. It teaches us that, like, life, you're going to keep learning. You're going to
Yes.
fall. It don't matter if
Always.
you're 30 and you want that picket house with the fence and the marriage and the kids, because it may not happen the way you want it to be, but maybe it's for your own growth.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Since we're talking about dark spaces, a lot of the times people hear that, but they don't really they don't really digest it. So what that means, you have to do stuff without a team, and that feels completely uncomfortable. So you have to do that with no team. You got to do it with no vices. It takes more than staying away from social media, staying away from relationships, being abstinent. It takes more than, staying away from unhealthy habits. It's a lot more than that. You have to do the inner work within yourself, and it sucks. It's uncomfortable. It's gonna seem like you don't have, hope in the world. It'll sound like God not answering prayers. Dark spaces is really dark spaces.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that Satan's, trying to do something, to your brain and make you do this and that, because you got to take accountability for your own self too. It's not all Satan.
Yeah.
You got a responsibility too.
Yeah.
And God's right here, and if you're down here, you got to meet God halfway too.
You do.
A lot of people, they get in relationships and they think, oh, I want to be with a person, I want them to meet me halfway. I'm like, no, you got to come up to God. So you can't get 50-50. It doesn't work like that. Some people's healing journey is different, and what I do see is that a lot of people, they feel like they're what am I trying to say here? I'm like losing my train of thought.
You got it.
I'm like
Come on.
spinning. Yeah, so a lot of people, they feel like they're moving, they feel like they're progressing, but they're just at a standstill, and they're okay with that. But that's a dark place too, because if you plateau in your healing journey, there's something else you needed to go. Okay, here we go. It's the healing journey. A lot of people, I see some people, they're single for so long, 5 years, 6, 7 years. That's not normal. You have to switch your plan. Everybody's healing journey is in different stages. We all
Yep.
know that.
Yep.
But come on, 3, 4, 5 years on your healing journey, you got to switch your tactic. And that's what I was trying to say when I was losing my train of thought.
Yeah.
Is that it doesn't take 5, 10 years for you to be single in order for you to find yourself. Because if you feel like you're in that situation to where you're single forever and this, that, and the other, you got to switch up your plan, get a new therapist. You got to switch up your annies.
Yeah, I think switching it up and also changing the approach. Not changing the plan, but changing the approach to the plan is what you're trying to say. Like, we're trying to change, what we're doing wrong, Because, okay, let's say, of example, somebody's trying to, gain muscle, but they're not able to get it. So they have to change up the way they're doing, whether it's bicep curls, whether it's something different in order to get the different results. Or what are you eating? You're working out, but what's your protein like? And I think that's when, that could be like a way of thinking about when we're not getting the results that we want, we got to change the approach to what we're doing. Because if we don't approach, like if we keep doing the same shit, same result, you're going to be single still. Same thing, because you keep repeating and you're not changing up what you're doing, which is what Laquan was trying to say, which I agree. I mean, when it comes to being a best version of yourself, yes, you can go to the gym. Yes, you can get your hair done, get your nails done, get a haircut. But it's not fulfilling as it is when you do that. You notice when people say, oh, I did the inner work and now I'm glowing. Like I got that breakup glow. I got that glow and I'm back now. It's because you did the inner work, because the inner work translates to the outer work, When you're really facing those demons and you're kind of just in those dark spaces and you're like, what do I want? Like, no, you're not thinking about other people. You're not thinking about whoever the fuck you were thinking about before. You're kind of like, what do I want? What do I need? What am I looking for? Like, you don't want to put yourself in the back of the bus all the time and just think about, fulfilling other people, because then you lose yourself. That is when those dark places come, is when you're trying to fulfill other people, but you forget about the main important person is yourself. And I think that's when those dark places happen. The dark places teach you, because they're kind of like looking at you like, hey, this is what you're doing. Like, look at yourself in the mirror. How are you treating yourself? How are you talking to yourself? Why are you talking to yourself like that? The shit we tell ourselves is crazy. Would you even tell your best friend that you're a loser? Like, yeah, bro, you a loser,
as a joke,
bro.
it's like, you got to be careful about that.
Yeah, because on some people, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you got to be careful with how we speak to ourselves. What do you think about that?
So, I mean, you're talking to someone who gets up every morning and no matter what's going on, no matter what the day is, there's a few things I always say. I'm blessed, I'm wealthy, I'm confident, I'm a winner, and I just repeat those things because the way my faith is set up, when you understand how God works, you understand words have meaning have power. And so what you put out there, God will give you. They talk about the universe, I call that God, right? The creator of all. But I don't only say that, I believe it.
Right.
I believe I might got $0 in my bank account, but I am beyond wealthy.
Wow.
That's a fact. I don't care what the numbers are reading. That's cool and all. I know the real deal. And it just so happened to be by the middle or end of that day, those numbers are different in that account. You know what I mean? Or just from a gym approach, right? Like I go in there, the gym is more easier because my mindset is, listen, how you do anything's how you do everything. So I'm going to go in here no matter how I feel, no matter how tired I am, and we're going to get this work done, and I'm not going to stop till the coach is like, you're done. It doesn't matter how I feel. That's over with. I'm past that. Principles over feelings. But a lot of that has to do with who you think you are. I think I'm a winner. You know what? Better yet, I know I'm a winner.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep winning because it's a mindset.
So
we talk about self-development, right?
Right,
a lot of that stuff has to do self-care, whatever. But self-development, like we're talking about, is really listen, and I've done this for years. Who do you want to be? If you can be any being in terms of your best potential, what does that look like? Write it down. Yeah. And then you know what I do? I just analyze, how do I get there? You give me the blueprint, I can accomplish anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
There we go.
The kingdom of God is within us. So there's nothing we can't do.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is the world puts out this narrative of 9 to 5, of you come from the hood, of you have poverty mindset, you know what I mean? Or this low-level fruit-hanging type of mindset, and you never get to see your potential. I know my ancestors were great. My bloodline is royalty. I know that because the way I operate and the people I gravitate to and the things that come to me, that's not losing mentality. Right. So with that being said, I'm like, well, we're going to rock with that. And my faith takes me a long way because everybody in this room is beautifully and wonderfully made. Now, it's your responsibility to figure out why that is.
Wow.
Not mine.
That's true. That's true. What
so
do you think about that?
Yeah, when also another thing that I find too, when you are truly dedicated to growth, at that point, once you've decided that this is what you're going to do, that you're not a hope or a wish, but a decision that you're going to grow, at that point, you need to start thinking, speaking, and acting as the person that you are becoming. Okay.
Wow.
So if your goal is to be successful in whatever realm that may be, whatever profession that may be, or however that may look to you, you gotta walk the walk. All right. And it doesn't matter what your background is or what your demographic is or where you come from, okay? if you desire and you decide that this is what I'm going to be, you have to make that move right now. You have to think, you have to talk, you have to act, you have to move as that person now. And that's the only way you're going to get there. And you also, I feel, need to operate with a sense of gratitude. Gratitude's got to be first and foremost, okay?
Gratitude.
Because where your attention goes, that's where your energy flows. And if your attention is on lack, the things that you don't have and what you lack, you see that all the time. People get stressed out and anxious and suffering from anxiety and stuff like that because they're stressing about money and what they lack. If that's where your energy goes, you're not going to go nowhere. You have to operate from a sense of gratitude. You have to be thankful for the things that you do have, and the things that you are about to have, that are manifesting through the actions that you're taking right now, through the steps you're taking, backed by faith in God.
Wow, I like that.
That's how you get there.
Walk it like you talk it.
Bro.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
What do you think about that,
Yeah.
Quan?
Actually, I resonate with everything. You know, everything's being said in this room. I really, you know, levitate toward a lot of the things that's being said. And I know personally for me, I've been married, you know, 15 years, going on divorce. And when you're in that space, you get to face all the dark spaces. You get all the prayers. You don't think the prayers are answered. You know, you're in a lot of different spaces that people aren't in. Like, nobody can fit inside shoes like that, you know. Most relationships don't even go past 3, 4, 5 years, you know, let alone 15-year marriage going on a divorce, when you think you have the world in your hands and you really don't. And it just slips out and you don't really realize it's slipping out. And it's like, man, where was I at that point? Like, was it my fault? You know, you started playing all these mind tricks, you know, on your own self. And you really just got to do the inner work on yourself. And what you said, ADK, like, you really have to envision yourself. Like, okay, since this is the reality, you know, relationship over, now you got to go back in the apartment. You was in a house. Okay, so now we're in this reality. You know, stop trying to fight against the grain that's, you know, coming your way. Since that's the new reality, okay, new reality. What's your life gonna look like now? All right, you gotta set up some plans. You gonna be in another relationship? What does she look like? How do you act? What's your car gonna look like? How are your kids gonna respond? You got a lot of things going on to your umbrella right there. And when I was still currently going through it, right? So sometimes you get lost, and I'm speaking for a lot of people who can't think when they have so much coming on to them. It's just too heavy.
Yeah.
I work out. I can lift a lot of weight, but you know, when you got that mental weight, there's no way. So you have to find a way. So when you're in that chaos mindset, we live in a world of ChatGPT,
Right.
YouTube.
Yeah, the ChatGPT.
We got Google.
Right.
If you don't know, what's going on, you can ask an AI. Hey, I'm feeling this way, that way. Boom, boom, boom. It'll tell you. Well, you want me to explain to you casually? It explains to you casually. We got the world in our hands right now.
Yep.
We live in an era of the all-knowing. That's what I feel like. Like, anything that you have an issue with, you want to start a business, you don't know how to start it, okay. You don't even have to think. You just go to ChatGPT, ask it, or whatever, source that you use it. We got all the tools, in our hands. Our iPhone, oh my God. Our iPhone is more expensive, and it does more things than what the cameras back in the day used to do. Not only that, it's a smartphone. It does a lot for you. So we have everything in our hands. So if you find yourself falling into a hole, I hate to say it, it's just your own fault, because we have the tools.
Yep.
And if you can't dig yourself out of that hole, it's okay to reach out for help. And that's where a lot of people get stuck, because therapy is cringe. Nobody wants to do that. Pay for it to tell all your business to who? A lot of people don't want to do that. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know your journey. Like I said, married 15 years, job, house, kids. Like, nobody can fit in those shoes, so you can't go to your friend and ask them for therapy. You got to reach out to a bigger source, even if it's a couple times in therapy, just to get your juices flowing. Yeah. Start there. Just do a couple times. Okay, now my juices are flowing. Let me just go ahead and stay away from that, because now I can think. Let me just type up whatever I need to type up on Chat GPT or wherever. I use Chat GPT, so I'm gonna say that. You gotta ask for help. Yeah. And sometimes it's not your best buddy. Yeah. Even though it's blood sticking in water, yeah. But even if it is a close friend or best friend, you only know your own situation. So you got to do your thinking for yourself. And sometimes you do have to reach for a therapist.
You do. I mean, I've had people who were at first, and sometimes it's based off like your childhood or whatever your parents' beliefs were about the mental health. Then, of course, you're kind of like, well, my parents are going to think I'm this if I go this way. But it's like, you know, at the same time, you have to do what you want to do for yourself, not about what your parents want, but about yourself. And I feel like, or, you know, not just your parents, but like, let's say your religion stops you from going to seek help. But I feel like God made therapists. And in a sense, like God made those mental health professionals so we can go to them. Like it's, you know, we have the resources, but it could be pride, it could be ego. I mean, it could be a lot of things, but we have to kind of break through that. Oh, I don't want to get help. I don't want people to know my business. I don't want people to know this. Like, what the hell do they do? You know, it's like they're there because either they had passion for the mental health aspect. I mean, because learning about mental health, it's not like I always feel like therapists need a therapist. Like, because how the hell y'all gonna listen to somebody's problems? And then you got to go home and you got your own problems. You got to pay your own bills. You got to do this. Like, how do therapists manage it themselves? So, you know, when it comes to inner work, when did you realize, ADK, I got to do the inner work? Like, I got to stop bullshitting around.
Well, that was probably around like middle school, man. I was just, I mean, for the, like, just from second grade to like fifth, I was really bad, you know, fighting a lot, to the point where they put me on person needed supervision back to back. And that was fourth and fifth grade. And man, I met my fifth grade teacher, and like there was an incident where they tried to take us out of class. And I told the kids to wrap their legs around the chair so they couldn't take them out. And the lady started crying. So I didn't know what that meant because I didn't come from any of that. So seeing her care about the poor decision I made, that planted a seed. And then, you know, we built a good relationship. But as it kept growing, I got into middle school, and then I met my eighth grade teacher, and then he had this conversation. My brother, he did 14 years in prison. Back then, my brother was in and out of alternative school. He got kicked out of school. 2 years older than me, so I was in sixth grade. He was probably already in ninth, but they didn't really finish high school. Anyway, he's like, listen, you got two choices. You can go this way, make your own path, or you can take your brother's path. Clearly, you know what that path leads to. In that conversation, I remember it vividly, on the chalkboard, which was green, he did that tree, right, that path, and it stuck in my head. And I said, okay, well, clearly they see something in me that I don't see. And then I started to see it, and then I started to hold myself accountable because I said, that's not what they want, the light they want me to be in. And then when I started in the moment, I'm talking about adjusting your behavior in the moment. So instead of going in there, robbing him, doing this, doing that, fighting, I'm adjusting it. Just like if you're in a relationship and you know this argument's gonna go left, bite your tongue. I had to do a lot of that, but it helped me adjust my behavior. And when I really figured out, like, yo, I can do this, things just got a lot down. Now, it made more sense when I became a Christian, but in that time, the light went off, man, and it was like, I go to school, I'm a good athlete, I'm gonna do my best on there, and doors opened up.
Because of the inner work.
Because of the inner work. But again, that inner work, and I tell people this, the thing about inner work is this. I meet a lot of people that are successful. I'm from New York, so I know a lot of people get money, dirty way, clean way, whatever. The mindset is different over there. People may assume, oh, you're arrogant. It's not that. Where we come from, you can't afford to be what a mindset of that you're lower than or less than, because people gonna put you there. If you on the fence, they're gonna put you over there. So you really had to be that person. So being that person, growing up, I'm like, okay, I faked it long enough. Am I really that person? And I figured out I am really that person, but what do I still need to fix on? Well, I gotta figure out how to love. I gotta tighten up on my discipline. I gotta tighten it on the way in which I text even my conversations. You won't hear me curse. I don't curse. I stopped using the N-word years ago, and those are little things I had to fix. You talk about the inner work. And I was able to fix them. So it's hard for me to have sympathy for some people because I said, if you really want to do it, you can. There's nothing you can't do. How important is it to you? Importance means this. Importance means that every second on the second you're thinking about improving. Not every once in a while. It's, I'm on this where I want to get this so, like, yo, I got to get my meals right. I got to get my meals right. Every day I got to make sure my meal's good. So now I'm eating 6 meals a day, and now I'm eating clean. That's important to you. You're doing it daily, not every once in a while. Because if you address it when it's a problem, you're too late.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback off that. That's what I was saying. Like, that's part of the healing journey and that inner work too. Imagine being on your A game for 5 years in a row, and maybe you got it.
Yeah.
There's no way. That means you ain't got it. Something's wrong.
Maybe.
Even if you did it for 1 year, I know everybody's different. I don't want all police. I don't want the all police after me. But like, yo, if you on your A game for a year straight, 12 months, you know how long that is? Go to jail for a year. 12 months is a long time.
Long time.
It's a long time.
At times
So
slows
if you
down.
really was on your A game, staying away from social media and things like that, you'll find yourself not cutting people off. Not cutting people off. That's energy.
Yeah.
Cutting people off.
Right.
I know where your healing journey is.
Yeah.
I'm not even a therapist, and I know where your healing journey is. If I find yourself cutting people off, staying away from social media, staying away from sex, I know where your healing journey is. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying I know where you are.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't take 5-10 years of this stuff going on. I'm trying to like help people out because I don't want you beautiful ladies being single that long.
Yeah.
I'm single. What's up?
I say, yo, man,
I'm single.
I'm
Yeah,
available.
what's
So
up?
this is for him.
You know, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I'm like, you don't gotta be single that long. Hold on.
Right, I'm here.
Be on your A game. Hold
My
on.
God.
Be on your A game for a year
Word.
real quick, you know?
I don't remember
Yeah,
that one.
that's all-
He
yeah.
said, he's like, let him know. But
Yeah,
what do
no,
you
that's
think
dope.
about that as well? You know, when it comes to, you know, when did you realize, you know, you said you had a recent rebuilding
Yeah.
story.
And honestly, the recent rebuilding story is the point in my life where I finally came to the realization that I needed to do the inner work. Because, like I said, I'm 50 years old. There's been many chapters in my life. I've had situations where I've hit rock bottom on multiple occasions over the years. We can go back to, you know, my late teens, early 20s. Okay, drug addiction, overcame that. You know what I mean? So I've had a lot of, you know, things that I've had to overcome over the years, but in a sense, all I was doing was putting out fires. You know, I was fixing the issue at hand, but I still wasn't addressing what needed to be addressed within myself. You know, we talk about overcoming. I mean, and people look at my story and they're like, wow, you're very resilient. You know what I mean? Like, you've overcome a lot of stuff over the years.
Good.
And I appreciate that. I mean, I guess I could take that as a compliment, but at the end of the day, I was still a coward. You know, to be real with you, I never had the courage to face myself. I would fix, you know, I mean, yeah, overcoming drug addiction, overcoming financial ruin on a couple occasions, you know, hitting rock bottom financially, you know, things like that. But what really did it for me was, it's been about 5-6 years ago now. You know, I got into the fitness business, became really successful pretty fast, right? Got into bodybuilding,
Right.
did pretty well, you know, and really started to attract a lot of attention. And I'll be honest, I was a broken person, and that, to me, I didn't know how to process that, and it really fueled my, and instead of it being the force of good, all it did was fuel my ego. Okay,
Wow.
and that ego led me to make a lot of bad decisions that destroyed my business, almost destroyed my family. Like, I was on the brink of divorce. It couldn't get no worse. And it was at that moment where I had to finally confess to myself, like, look, man, this has got to stop. And the only way this is going to stop is if we dig down deep, attack it at the root, you know, and finally put this to rest once and for all. We can't just put out a fire this time. All right, we got to kill that old version of yourself and come back a new person.
Wow.
And that's the path that I've been on for the last 5-6 years right now.
Wow, that's good. I
Yeah.
love.
for sure.
We always love like self-development and self-growth, and you had to, you know, look at yourself and kind of be like, okay, I'm healing these things. Where's the root of the issue? Because you ain't
Yeah.
gonna heal if you don't heal that root.
No.
You literally got to go find that root.
I denied it for years. I denied it for pretty much the majority of my adult life up until just, you know, recently.
And how do you feel now that you face that root? Because that's hard to do.
It's liberating.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't think of a better word to say than it's liberating. I finally feel free.
Free.
You know, I finally feel like
Wow.
I broke free from that loop that I was repeating over and over again throughout pretty much my whole adult life until just recently. You know what I mean? Like I said, people will look at my story and compliment me on being resilient because, I mean, yeah, I was resilient. I was bouncing back, you know, coming back strong, you know, fixing these
Right.
situations that you know, that went wrong and being able to rebuild. But it was just putting out fires. I would always do that, but never address, you know, I would always just kind of, I always suppressed all the inner things. You know, I wouldn't express emotions or anything like that. And that's just kind of the way I grew up too. You know, I didn't really grow up in a safe space to be able to really express myself and things like that. So that's always been a challenge for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to the point where not only could I not express it to others, but I wouldn't even express, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't even have that conversation with myself. You know, I would
Wow.
sweep it under the rug. Let's put out this little fire and let's just keep moving.
I think I think we're all probably victims to that, because that's when you suppress the inner work. When you're suppressing the emotions, it's like you're suppressing the inner work, because you don't want to face it, and you rather like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go do this and go here and go here and go here, and then pretty soon it gets louder. It starts to get louder, because it's like, all right, you want to face it, like some way you're gonna have to face it, because I think that's the part about what suppressing your emotions. It suppresses the inner work. What do you think about that?
So, I can speak at least for men. I know, vulnerability, and we talked about this earlier. Vulnerability is something that we kind of carry in our pocket.
Yeah.
We don't like to get out, because once we're vulnerable and we share that with you and you hurt us, there's no coming back. And now you made that suppress even more dense. So now I'm thinking about now you meet the love of your life, but you've been so traumatized and so betrayed that you miss out on this opportunity because you weren't the person that you once were, because someone changed you. So we talking about, how do we acknowledge that not only am I going through something, but I need to heal from this, and I need to heal now, because I'm going to miss my opportunity, whether that's a job, whether that's a relationship. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, time don't care about nobody. So if that was your time and you missed it, it is what it is. And that's why for me, I'm a little different. I was married, once before, went through a divorce. And, people told me when I was, getting married again, take your time. I said, if you go to a car dealership and you see a car you want, you going to buy it, or you going to be like, I'll be back. And you got the bread to get it, you're going to get it, right? Simple.
Bread, yeah.
I'm not that person where if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. If I make my decision, I'm making my decision. I know who I am. I know what I bring. I know what I can do. Maybe you need more time. I don't. I made my mistakes. I corrected them. I know what I need to do moving forward. I'm a gamble on myself. I got God on my side. I can't lose.
Absolutely.
And it turned out. Listen, years are flying by. Marriage is getting better every single. But again, I always tell my wife this. I say, we work on our marriage every day. Not every anniversary, not every annually, every single day, because that's part of our self-development. But what keeps us locked in is our standard, right? We go based on our faith. We're very, very, we don't do the one thing Christian thing. We're very sound in it, because that's our foundation. So guess what? When we get in situations, when we have conversations, when we're in arguments and things start to go left and we're starting to pretend, we're starting to act like the world, we go back to who we are, right? We're followers of Christ. And if I love you, I got to be patient. I got to be kind. You know what I mean? And with that being said, I have to follow those steps of what that means. So if I really love you, I'm not going to try to say something to hurt you to get back at you. It's not that deep. You get what I'm saying? It's not that deep. And again, it's people have their own levels of growing or wherever they are. But I find if you really, really care about something and you really want to improve on it, every time I said this, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'd be successful. You'd be shocked how many people would put that mentality into money as opposed to their relationship, as opposed to their parenting. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You put all that into showing up to a job for my man or getting this money, but you won't put that into yourself. That's wild to me.
That's crazy. Or you put into a person.
Or a person. Or that's what I'm saying. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
But the world teaches us that. And that's how we stay in that space that we're talking about right now. Suppressing. You know what I mean? Because, yes, I worked with her. I did a lot of mental health. I did suicidal ideation. I trained on it. I did it all. I worked alongside my therapist. It's funny when you say that. All of them do have something. The one I worked with happened to be a Christian. So we had a lot of conversations on who pours back into you. But if you don't got nobody pouring into you, here's the thing. You ain't pouring nothing out of there. Your cup is tilted, but there's nothing coming out. That means whatever you're saying is just at best touching the surface. It's not penetrating. So you right now, you in a rocking chair.
Right.
You think you're getting somewhere, but you've been in the same spot. That's why the progress hasn't been made.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of thinking about, what do you want? What are your needs? What do you want to feel fulfilled in your life? And I think that's when the thing starts to change, is when you start asking those hard questions to yourself is, what do I want? Fuck what everybody else's want. No offense. But it's like, what do I want?
Sure.
What do I need? How can I get my needs met? What do I do to, but you learn that through giving your all to somebody, because then you have to learn that. It's all a hard lesson, but you learn about it and you're like, but what do I want? What do I need? Are my needs getting met? Is this a give and take, or is this a give and give thing?
That's right.
And I think that's when you when you ask those questions, that's when the answers start flowing. But until you start realizing that, okay, I am a overgiver, or I don't like to receive. Well, why don't you?
Yeah.
Where is this coming from? Those are hard questions to ask, but those are necessary questions as to grow. Because how will you grow? You're gonna
Very
always
true.
think about,
Yeah.
this other person. But like you just said,
Yeah.
you're pouring from an empty cup. You
Yeah.
guys can't pour from an empty cup. You have to
Cannot.
pour when you're both full.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
well,
I
you
wanna-
don't want a broken person. You want
No.
a healed person.
Yeah, and I just want to say this before I forget it. So love is allowing somebody to have access to your heart, knowing that they can hurt you, but trusting that they won't. And I want you to put that idea
That's true.
into your relationships,
Yeah.
whether it's your parents' relationship, your wife, your girl, whatever. Think about that. I think a lot of us miss our opportunity because we are afraid. Like, for example, we can put it into a business. If you really love that business,
Right.
it's going to grow, but you don't love it like you think you do.
Yeah.
Or let's not even talk about the person you're with, right? A lot of us are existing in a space where, and I use this analogy a lot, the red flags was from the gate. But because we allowed emotions to interfere with our decision making, we thought we were at a circus.
Wow.
Yes.
So you up there doing the
Wow.
kumbaya, the red
Yep.
flag's been there.
Yep.
God's like, yo, I try to help you out, but you're tripping. But for that thing, think about if you apply real love in these situations.
Yep.
And I learned that biblically. I look to I'm telling you where I come from. It was, man, I remember I was telling somebody, I don't remember, I can count on one hand how many times I was told, I love you. On one hand, from a baby all the way to like 18, 19. On one hand.
Wow.
That's, yeah.
Outside of dating someone, I'm talking about in the house.
Yeah.
So now how are you supposed to get married and pour all of that into your, like my first marriage, I believe, was specifically for me to become the man I needed to be for my wife now. And I went through hell. And people don't, like, and I'm just,
That's deep, man.
I
that's
really
that one
just,
deep.
That's
it-
Damn.
and I look at it that way because I'm like, that wasn't a waste of time. Look, man, that taught me how to be a man.
Yeah.
That taught me how to really love. And then I got
for
my
a
wife and
purpose.
she taught me how to display that love.
Yeah.
And I said, if you just push through, yo, just keep, I know this is going to sound, corny, but my kids watch Finding Nemo. Like that term, keep on swimming, is real.
Yeah.
Just keep on swimming.
Wow.
You're going to be fine.
Yep.
That's amazing. And that's a good mental health aspect as well. Like, keep on swimming, keep on going.
Yeah.
Which is why, when you think about it, it makes more sense when you're like, life gets hard and you're like, fuck. Like, it's when those darkest moments where you're kind of like, in those dark spaces where you want to give up.
Yeah.
And it's like, keep on swimming. And
Yeah.
that's like, could be like a mental health aspect of like, keep on going.
Yeah,
because
just keep going.
Because at the same time, it gets better. It may not get better overnight. Like, don't get me wrong. You're
Yeah.
not gonna like fucking be a new person the next night.
Right.
But it takes time. But once you keep going and you keep on swimming,
Yes.
it makes more sense. It's
Yes.
like, and it's crazy because you be in the darkest spaces. Now you want a boat, and 6 months
Chilling.
later, like you're just like,
Yeah.
You going to
like,
Dubai getting them
yeah.
chocolates, man.
You know what I'm
You,
saying?
you chilling.
Life
Yeah,
is like
man.
that though. You could be in the most darkest spaces of your life, and then like 6 months later, you ever look at your Snapchat stories. They're like, "Hey, remember how I went last year?" You're like, "Oh shit!" Like now I'm in a different
Yeah.
mindset than I was last year.
Yeah.
Or you see a girl pop up, and you're like, "What the hell? I remember this girl from 6 months ago."
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like life teaches you lessons, and I think it's like we shouldn't stay focused on like the past
Yes.
because then we're like we're it's not a life sentence. It's supposed to be a lesson, but it's not supposed to be a life
Lesson.
sentence.
Yeah.
But you get stuck in it because we're
Yeah.
so stuck in the past that we're like, oh, this is what it was in the past. But it's like we're supposed to appreciate the lessons that it was taught and then grow from them.
Right.
But it's hard because sometimes, that's why on The Lion King, when he's like, the past can hurt, and he's like, well, you can either learn from it or run from it. Makes a lot of sense now when you watch
See,
that damn
yeah, that's what
movie.
I'm saying. That was for us. Now, the adults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, you're right.
No, he
Yeah,
hits
no
him in the
doubt.
head too. He's like, "What's up?" He's like, and I remember actually watched it. What was it? A couple of years back, and it makes more sense now when you
Yeah.
get older. You're like, but it hurts. And he's like, "Yeah, it fucking hurts, but you could either run from it or learn from it. Like, which way do you want to go?
That's
Do you want to
right.
run from your past? Do you want to run from that person that you were, or do you want to become better than who you were?" And I think that's a hard question that you got to ask yourself because
Yeah.
that's when that inner work comes. When you're like, okay, I know I did this in my past, so let's take this here. What can I do to become better than what I was in my past?
Right.
And that's when the growth happens. It's when you
Yes.
start asking those hard questions and growing and the learning aspect
Yeah.
of becoming a better person and developing who you are. And like I said, you guys both went through those hard spaces of your
Yeah.
life, but it happened to teach you something about yourself.
Yeah,
And those are the
absolutely.
hardest places. And like I said, you never
Absolutely.
feel like you're gonna get out at that
Yeah.
moment.
For
You
real.
don't. It's real as it gets. Like you feel like you're stuck, but you're never stuck. There's tools. There's ChatGPT, like Laquan says.
Oh, boy.
ChatGPT king, man.
Yeah, it helped me out. Yeah.
I feel like but at the same time though, we shouldn't neglect like the real tools as well, like the
Yeah.
counseling. When you guys are working out and going to the gym
Yeah.
as well, that's therapy for you
100%.
guys. Why would you say that's therapy when you think
Because
about that?
so man, listen, 'cause, I'm in it. So a lot of times, and you know what's interesting, my position, and I'm just a therapist by nature, just a line of work I did. I didn't go to school for it. But I happen to be a male who was in the human service field because I was interested in the way people act and thought. And most men aren't. They're in the STEM field.
Right.
So I was an anomaly. But going back to the gym, I find myself going in the gym, and I promise you not, talking people off a ledge. And it's not draining, though. And it's wild because it's like, I also don't get this, oh, I helped. I'm like, I'm doing God's work.
Right.
But
Right.
to see somebody actually like change is wild. And then for myself, when we're in between sets and we're talking, because when you do a set and you get done and you're stressed, everything is relieved.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you're going through, don't feel as tense as it did when you walked in the gym. And now you can get it out. It's like people equivalent to people smoking weed to relax or talk. No, I don't smoke or nothing. I go in the gym and I've learned how to channel that energy into this and get it out, whether it's through music or through talking with your training partner. And by the time I leave, I forgot what I was tripping about or whatever I was getting, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I get home and I have a whole new mindset. It's a reset button. But I allow myself to be able to be in that space to make that change. And the gym is, for me, and in the studies, this is a fact, from anxiety, depression, suicide, whatever, the gym is the #1 healing spot for most mental health issues.
Amen. Oh,
I
without
promise
a
you.
doubt.
For
Without
real.
a doubt,
Yeah,
yes.
super deep. Yeah, I just want to piggyback off what you said previously. Same thing. You guys are amazing in this room. Like seriously, I could seriously,
Yeah, I got you.
I could seriously listen to you guys like you know all day,
Appreciate you.
You know. And I appreciate you guys being here. Raquel, you're doing amazing with the questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, you
like,
killing it.
I'm so happy with being back. You know,
Yeah.
I would usually, piggyback and ask questions too, but I'm just so in the
You
moment
in
of
it.
just,
Thank you.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just
Dope.
love everything you're saying, going on. But what you said about the rocking chair issue, a lot of people, they are in that rocking chair, and I was in that rocking chair.
Yes.
Maybe still in it. I feel like I am a little
Yeah.
bit, tiny bit
Yeah.
right there. And I feel like when you're in that rocking chair in a relationship, you don't have that opportunity to love your significant other or your wife.
Yep.
And when you constantly work on loving your wife every single day, every minute you see her, the hugs feel different. You're like, man, I really do love you. But don't make that don't get confused on the part that you might have not loved her in the past,
Right.
and now you're just loving her right now. You're just loving her more and more every day.
There you go.
That's all it is,
There
you
you
know.
go.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I see, on social media right now, where are they going? These females. I'm not attacking females. Hold on.
Now
Hold on.
talk about it. I'm curious. Go.
Like just the Usher and the Chris Brown concert. If they put their energy into
They're married.
self-healing
Forget.
and their business, there's a lot of amazing people
Now,
out
now
there.
my boy talking. Hold on. Turn the volume up.
You
No,
know,
but you're right. No,
if they
keep
put-
continue.
There's a girl who's she gonna know who she is.
It's cool. We don't know her, so we good.
Yeah, we don't know.
So this girl's sick. She sound like Lil Wayne.
Oh,
And she going to the Chris Brown concert, the Bruno Mars concert, and the Usher. Usher and Chris Brown together. But she going to the Bruno Mars. She hitting all two of them. Bang bang. I'm like, man. And I know she's an amazing person, and her business could just blow up, but it ain't because her energy is going toward different places. But I'm not gonna be in a place to go ahead and jump into that and then tell her this, that, and the other. I'm just gonna stand back, and that's part of the healing journey too. You got to step back and just let it play out. Because when you're in that part of your journey in your life, any advice you get is going to sound like you're being attacked. So it's not my position to do that. So once I see she's an amazing person enough to where hopefully that fades off, and then I could tell her like, hey, remember that time you went to those concerts and you sound like Lil Wayne? Yeah, I remember that. Things like that. That's on the back burner, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it out as
Right.
soon as you in a different part of your life, different stage. I'm gonna bring it up.
Yeah.
I
But,
think
That's dope.
and
That's
also,
dope.
Michael too, like what you said about what is it, the time and the money thing, and it sounds like you got your life back. After family almost going into jeopardy, being in financial holes and then digging out, going back in, coming back out.
Yeah.
So time is money. Yeah, time is money. Yeah, we could say that, but time is life. So
Wow.
Time's the only currency that we have.
That's the only currency.
That's the one thing you can spend and never get back. You can blow all the money you want. You can get it back. You can make it back. You can't get time back.
you can't get it back. Yeah.
Can't get it back.
And some people, a lot of people have big hearts. So when they know they can't get that time back, their heart is so big and they know how much they put in jeopardy and they lost, they can't get back out of the hole.
Yeah.
And that's why I was talking about the chat GPT and reaching out, because now you feel like you're so sunken in, you're about to be single for 5-10 years because your heart is so big, you can't afford to get it stomped out again. Because if you do, that could lead to unaliving yourself and things like that. So that's where that comes from. Hopefully that doesn't go over people's head, because that's where it comes from. That's a form of where it comes from.
Yeah.
There's different levels of it. Yeah, I don't level police. I don't want no level police. I know everybody's different, things like that. But that's where these suicide comes from. Is from having big hearts and it being crushed year after year, relationship after relationship. It getting crushed so much to the point where you can't find yourself again. And then if you're not reaching out or doing the self-inner work, you toast. You're either going to be mentally toast, or if you go to an extreme, depending on your personality, you unalive yourself. That's just how it goes. It's history behind it. Just look it up on the internet. It's not just me just rebuttaling things and bringing things up. You can look it up for yourself. Like, that's where it comes from.
And the thing is what you said about self-love. Because, when we have big hearts, yes, it's a good thing to love. It's a good thing to love and to love one another. But it's self-love that changes the game pretty much. Like, if you don't love yourself, you are bound to feel, the way you feel. What do you tell yourself on a daily basis? Are you telling yourself you're ugly? Are you telling yourself you're big? Are you telling yourself you have no chance with this? Like, what are you speaking to yourself? Because you're believing it. And when you start believing those thoughts, that's when you become in a dark space. Yeah. You keep believing it. Oh, I ain't shit. I'll never amount to this. The inner critic. It is the inner critic that tells you daily, you will never find love. You will never find this. Oh, yeah, remember that one time when you failed this one business? Oh, it's going to happen again. Yeah. But you got to catch that shit, and you could be like, well, what about the one time when I succeeded this one time? Like, you got to talk to yourself the way you would talk to your friend.
Absolutely.
Like, because the way we speak to ourselves is also what can lead you to depression. Because when you believe all those thoughts that you told yourself, what do you think you're going to feel? You're not going to feel like you want to get up in the morning. You're going to feel like shit because you just told yourself you're a piece of shit. I'll never amount to anything. Or you're not worthy of love. Like, you start believing it, because anybody can have those thoughts. And some people, when you have the confidence, you're kind of like, oh, well, fuck those thoughts. I don't give a fuck about that. But when you are losing yourself and when you're in a dark state of mind, you believe that negative voice in your head. And that's what puts you into that dark state of mind. But you got to challenge those thoughts and be like, how do I know I'm not worthy of love? Where's the evidence that I'm not? Like, who told me that I wasn't? Where is this coming from? Is it coming from my childhood? Did my dad tell me this before? Right. Where are these, you have to really get into your subconscious and really ask yourself those questions. Why do I believe those thoughts? Where is this coming from? Because somebody told you somewhere in your childhood that you will never amount to it. It could have been your dad who was trying to push you to do better, but he was trying to use reverse psychology. It's like, you got to ask yourself those questions. Why am I believing those thoughts? Because it's not true. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's true. And you learn that in mental health.
Yes.
You learn that.
Yes.
Just because you have that thought does not make it true. It's when you believe it. That's why I read in an article, a psychologist was talking about thoughts are just thoughts. Anybody can have them. But when you start believing that negative voice, you got to challenge that negative voice, and you got to be like, no, I'm not a piece of shit. No, I can find love. No, I am this. I am. But also start learning, like, loving yourself, self-love, but also learning about what you're telling yourself and why are you believing those negative thoughts. Because that's what leads you to depression. That's what leads you to suicide, because you're believing it. But you have to tell yourself, I'm not a piece of shit. Yes. You could be like, I'm a king. I'm worthy of respect. Because and you notice when you start having those positive affirmations, when you wake up and you have those, it sets the foundation for how you view life. But if I were to wake up every day and I told myself I was a piece of shit, I'm never this, I'm never going to be this, I'm always going to be broken, I'm always going to be, you believe it, and that's how your vision, you start to see things in a gloomy light. Like, the fog is there. Yeah. There's that song where it goes, I could see clearly now the rain is gone. Yeah. It's when you're healing and you're like, I could see clearly now because the rain has gone. And I always, like, when I was a kid, I was like, I could see clearly. Yeah. But it makes sense when you're coming out of the other side of the darkness. Right. You can see clearly. The fog has lifted. I could see all the obstacles in my way. In the next lyric, he talks about, I could see all the obstacles. So now you're like, okay, now that I could see the darkness lifted, now I could see what's going on behind me. Now I could see those obstacles, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to challenge those obstacles that are in front of me. But you can't do that until you start realizing, okay, what am I believing about myself? What am I telling myself in those negative thoughts? Because that's what leads you to depression. Absolutely. Is when you believe it. You don't have to believe those thoughts. You don't have to believe that you're a piece of shit. You don't have to believe that you're never going to amount to nothing. You don't have to believe that every business you're going to start is going to fail, or you're never going to be anything, or you have to start challenging those thoughts and
That's
be like,
right.
this is not true. Like, you know, example, you could be like, I will never find love. I'm always going to be single. And that's not even true because you know what I'm saying? 3 years later, you get married and you're like, oh, well, fuck. I remember I thought 3 years ago I was going to be single and
Right.
I am
Yeah.
ready to this. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, we don't know. We don't
No.
know what's going to happen in the future. And sometimes we predict it and we believe it. We're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be single in 5 years. How the fuck do we know that? We
Right.
don't know
Yeah.
that. Only God knows that.
Right.
And it's like, but that's how you get yourself out of that depression, out of that unaliving yourself,
Yeah.
is knowing who you are and loving who you are and telling yourself, I'm a leader. I'm a leader. I'm a visionary. People look up to me. I'm an inspiration.
Yeah.
That's when, you know, when you start talking to yourself in those ways, life starts changing because you do the inner work. That's the inner work, the positive affirmations.
Right.
And it starts challenging those thoughts because it's not that you, and whoever's watching this, you are worthy. You are a good person. You are. Don't believe everything you think. There's a book that I want to read on that. It's called Don't Believe Everything You Think. I don't know if you guys heard about that book, but it's like, don't believe everything your voice tells you because it's not true.
That's right.
And it's like when you start fighting that voice back is when you start claiming your life back.
Yeah, for
Amen.
sure. And
Yeah.
where are you gonna go?
Oh yeah, I wanted to say something on that too, real quick here, and I'm gonna be very vulnerable about this right
Go
now.
ahead.
Yeah,
It's
please.
a safe
Since we're on
space.
the- since
It's
we're-
Realness
no,
Lounge.
No, yeah, absolutely. Since we're on the topic of you know, depression, suicide, things like that, I lost my father to suicide in 2009. Okay, he battled depression his whole life. I did too. Still do. You know what I mean? It never just goes away. I've just learned to develop the tools to know how to deal with it effectively now.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest things that I can say as far as suicide prevention, in addition to what you said as far as developing that self-love, you have to have purpose. If your life doesn't have purpose, you will drift, and that drift is going to take you to dark places each and every time, and it's going to take you to those dark places where you fall into the depression.
Amen.
Because when your mind is drifting, if you think about the word depressed and break it down, deep rest. Well, what happens when your mind's drifting and you don't have a chief aim or a purpose? You know what I mean? Your mind drifts into a state of deep rest.
Yeah.
And the best way to get yourself out of depression is not by laying down and sleeping off. No, get up and move. Movement is what is going to pull you out of it each and every time. And that's what the gym has done for me over the years. Gym has been my therapy. That has been my coping tool for dealing with my depression. You know, unfortunately, you know, with my father, you know, he, like I said, he dealt with depression. I witnessed it growing up my whole life. He, you know, get home from work and he'd sleep all the time. And I know you ain't tired just because you know you're tired from the sleeping. You're sleeping 12, 13 hours. No, it's depression, right? But you know, having us, me and my sister growing up, you know, that was the glue that held them together. You know, once we grew up and started our own life, I could tell that, you know, he started to lose his purpose, and then that eventually just spiraled into deeper depression, and ultimately, yeah, he took his life in 2009, and that was a wake-up call for me, you know, because I mean, I could see myself at that moment following his footsteps if I didn't fix myself too, and deal with some of these things head on as well. And as far as, like I was saying, as far as like that drifting mind that develops due to not having a purpose, you know what I mean, once you identify your purpose, that's when you start to develop that mental discipline, because
Yes.
now all the things that you do, all the steps, the way you move has to be in alignment with your purpose. It has to. All right. And that's when you start to develop and set your standards and boundaries. And when you do start catching yourself drifting, it's always the standards that are going to anchor you back. You know what I mean? That's what you're always going to anchor to. And thankfully, you know, we can all develop our own set of standards, but thankfully for me, my standards are divine. God gave me these standards. I think those are if you want a set of standards, you don't need to think too hard. Just read the Bible. You know what I mean? He's going to tell you what the way you should live your life, what your standards should be, what your boundaries should be.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if that's what you anchor your life to, you know what I mean? Even if you do drift astray for a moment, that'll always bring you back. You know what I mean? And what I find too is that once you develop that discipline, just your mental clarity, you know, like my brother over here talking about when he, you know, got remarried and he was getting criticized for, maybe you're, you know, cautioning him about maybe you're deciding too quick. Maybe
Yeah.
you know what I mean? No, I agree with him 100%. When you're at that point where you've healed and you have that sense of mental clarity, your decision making is so much sharper. Okay?
Yep.
your decision and you become certain about everything you do because it's all in alignment with a standard. You know what I mean? Which is the standards, God's standards.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So, me personally, I found that, you know, through my recent rebuilding over the last 5-6 years, just taking those steps to develop that kind of discipline, it's changed my life tremendously because I feel that a disciplined mind can accomplish more in 6 months than a drifting mind can in 10 years. And I'm living proof of that. Like what I've done over these last 5 or 6 years has been phenomenal. And I'm not trying to brag or anything like that.
That's good.
But like I've accomplished a lot over these a lot more, I would say, over these last 5-6 years than I did probably in the first 25-30 years of my adult life.
Wow.
And that's just because of the clarity, you know what I mean? And having those standards. You know, in the last couple years, I've earned 2 degrees. I got 2 new certifications. I'm about to start my master's program in July. You know, I've rebuilt my business. My brand is growing right now, and it's in a lot more. It's growing in a lot more respectable light. The demographic of the people that I attract now is a totally different demographic than what I attracted previously when I was in it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a game changer for me.
I love the vulnerability that you shared about your father and you
Thank
just
you.
overcoming that. I think that's important.
Yeah, for sure, man. I want to piggyback off of basically what we both talked about right here. I'm just trying to keep everything together. But I was in that dark place. After married for so long and just not knowing I was even depressed. Cause I'm always cool,
Yeah.
You dress whatever, you know what I mean. Put, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Smell good. Everybody giving you compliments. So,
Right.
I was in that depressed state, but not even knowing it because after I worked, pay my bills, after I hung out with the kids, skateboarding, all that, I would go home and I realized I wasn't eating and I was just laying down. Especially if I had days off in a row, I would just lay down and I was drinking a lot of water. But when those water bottles was empty, I wouldn't even get up to use the restroom. And that's how I realized I was in a depressed state when I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Was looking back, you always get flashbacks from social media, but I would take, certain pictures, keeping snap streaks up,
Right.
and things like that. And I would look and I'm like, what? Because I was like peeing inside of water bottles. I wouldn't get up out of bed. I was using the restroom in the water bottles. Boom, just boom. I wouldn't even get
You
up.
feel stuck.
I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't get up. But I didn't know what it was. I thought I was just kind of going through a little funk. It wasn't funk. I was depressed.
Yeah.
I was depressed, and I'm like, man. So and then I know the gym helped you out, and I know the gym helps you out for sure. You guys look amazing too, just swole,
Shit.
And
Thank you, man.
I don't think it was helping me at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I still want to work out, but it's just like I'm not really getting it. I'm irritated. I'm looking at girls dressed in a certain way, provocative. I just don't want to see any of it. So I changed my fitness love language to hiking. And I was hiking. I'm like, man, I don't think I want to do this. It's kind of high, Arizona. But when I got up there, it was like, that's how God spoke to me, is being on top of those mountains. And I'm like, I got it. I got to hike. No more gym. Push-ups when I get to the top of the mountain or in between. Push-ups, push-ups, push-ups. And then just being on top of the mountain, just seeing how everything is. The mountain courtesy. Hi.
Yeah.
Just them little hellos. And I'm like, I'm not going to let this one relationship. I know, granted, it's a long marriage and things like that, but she made the decision, and I'm not going to point any fingers. This is my new reality. I'm going to fall in love with hiking even more. I'm going to get little, my jet packs, and I'm going to look like a super hiker.
Right.
And I'm just going to be on my hiking game until I figure it out. And then eventually, as the wheels started spinning, just hiking, I found my way. And I'm like, this is what it is. And then I slowly brought myself to the gym and things like that. But even when you are in shape and you go to the gym, you'll realize I don't know if you guys get it, but, they see me progressing. They're like, oh, look at this guy. He's more shredded than you. Or look at this guy doing these bar dips. And look at him. He's doing muscle ups. And I'm like, I don't want to do any muscle ups. Thank you for sending me that, but that's not my language right here. I just want to look good in a shirt and look good for summertime.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to compete right now. I eventually want to do it. I mean, I have to. But that's not what I want to do right now. And a lot of people, I have to draw back. Maybe they're trying to help me. Maybe they're not just trying to come at me. But it just seems like, man, at first I was getting made because my rear end was flat. I started doing squats. Now I got one. Now I got a little something. And now I'm getting made fun of because, oh, you got a little butt. That's funny. Now that's funny. then my chest, bird chest, start growing my chest. Oh, you have a B cup, you have a C cup. Now I'm getting made fun of because of that. So you realize even with fitness, even when you're on your top of your game, you're looking your best, this and that, there's gonna always be somebody coming at you. So what I learned was just to draw back, like I did. I just, I drew back just like how I did on top of the mountain, and just watch and just listen, just actively listen to people, and you realize, man, I think they're talking about themselves. They're not talking about me, because I feel good every time I look at the mirror because I know where I climbed out. I know which hole I climbed out of. So you realize those people are really, reflecting of themselves,
Their own insecurities.
or even if it's not their own insecurities, it's just things that they wish they could do it, but they're not doing it. Oh, how could you stay consistent for that long? Don't you get bored of eating healthy? Don't you get bored of eating the same things every day? The workout, gym. It's since they're not able to achieve that level, they try to bring you down with them. But sometimes it could be your best friend, your best, let's say, associates.
Right.
But they don't realize they're trying to bring you down. But that's what they're doing by speaking negativity over what you're doing, instead of encouraging, because they can't get to that level of consistency. And then you start to realize, man, consistency is like amazing. It's a blessing.
Yep.
It's a blessing to be consistent. Most people can't do it.
Yeah.
And you realize you are like an anomaly, and that's when you start to see yourself in a different light.
Yep. It's the positive affirmations of how you view yourself is what changes the game for everybody. And that's why it starts with the inner work, which is what we talked about today, guys, is the inner work changes the game for your physical side. Because, you can look good, but you want to feel good in here. Because that determines whether you want to get up out of bed every morning. It's what you tell yourself, today's going to be a great day. Hell yeah, we're going to win the day. We're going to do this. We're going to listen to the positive mindsets. And that's what's going to set the day for you. It's like the inner work. And I want to thank ADK for coming on, and also Grupo Strength for being vulnerable.
My pleasure.
And
Yes,
just sharing your vulnerability, because I know it's not easy. And I was one person that I did not like to be vulnerable, but now I do, because that's where you build the deepest connections, is with vulnerability.
That's right.
You will not find it when you're not vulnerable. If you have your guard up, you will not connect with them.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that I've learned personally. So, and I also want to thank Laquan
That's right.
for coming
My man.
back.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And just popping off and just really like being the leader that you are, like I always envisioned you to be. And I want to thank you guys for coming on. And if you want to give your businesses a shout out, I mean, what is this right here? I'm like, I got some gym friends out here who some girls who want to know what this is. I bet. What is this?
Yeah, so we'll start with the we'll start with the jerky. So this jerky right here that you're looking at, that's my business partner. He has his own jerky company that's doing phenomenal. If you guys are into jerky, I hear that's an Arizona thing. Tap in. The social media links will be there. But I can promise you this, you won't regret it. And the flavors are appealing. I mean, look at it. You look at it, you like, yo, what's up?
Looking at them right now.
What's going on there? You know what I mean? Very appealing, very good. Yeah, so, and we also got shout out to Defiant Sups, man. Appreciate you guys so much for coming through.
Shout out to y'all.
Supporting the podcast, giving us the sups. I got another sponsor, Juice Life. I don't got their products here because some of it go in the fridge. Kind of ran a little low if I'm keeping it real. And really just shout out to everybody out there that continue to support the podcast, continue to support what we're doing, and go follow them. If you're on my page, follow them, support them.
Yeah.
You see the energy, you see what they bring in, and it's amazing. We are really trying to help improve people well-being from an unconditional standpoint. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys, and please keep doing what you're doing. This was amazing. Despite me being deep in prep, this was really insightful and enlightening, and I like the fact that I worked in the space, so seeing people talk about these dark spaces, being vulnerable is amazing, because what you don't realize that you just did today was you got that much further in your therapy, right? And you healed. Through this conversation we've had, you healed. That's a fact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So congratulations to y'all.
Everybody's in a
Word.
healing journey, and this podcast, I always talk about it. It's real, authentic. It's true to yourself. Everybody who always comes on, they feel like it's a safe space to be vulnerable. And when we know you guys are being vulnerable, that's how we know that this podcast is what it is. Right. So I really appreciate you guys. And make sure you guys check out their episode. And make sure you guys get that jerky, guys, because I know y'all girls want to get that butt. That's like what I was talking about.
Word.
So make sure you guys take a look. And then also shout out to Grupo Strength as well. Where can they follow you at? Where's your Instagram?
Yes, so you can follow me, Grupo Strength on Instagram. Very easy to find. Listen, I post a lot of content on there that I hope you'll find value in. I love to inspire people and just drop little gems of, my experiences and my knowledge that I have, because I feel like, knowledge is not meant to be held on to, guys. If you've learned, if you've evolved, if you've grown over the years, it's your duty, it's your obligation to pass that down, because you can't. Why just take it to the grave with you, man?
Yeah.
There's people that need this.
Yeah.
There's people. This could be life-saving. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about pouring into the people that I work with, and I work with a wide variety from. Well, I would say my niche is probably going to be student athletes, because I coach high school football as well. All right, so I love pouring into the youth, because that's our next generation coming up, and they need us, right?
They need
But
that.
I also want to be an inspiration for my peers out there,
Yep.
the middle-aged man out there who's maybe struggling to find his way
Right.
in life, or trying to rebuild. Maybe he's gone through some rough times in his life. He's in his 40s, 50s, whatever. I just want to help. That's my passion. Just helping people become the best version of themselves, for sure.
And there you go. I think
Yeah.
that's important.
Appreciate it,
And
man.
shout out to all you guys
course.
coming out. And make sure you guys check out their episode, check out their podcast as well,
Appreciate
80K
it.
podcast. And if you want to give your Instagram as well.
Yeah, so my Instagram is literally Tonito_ADK. That's my fitness page. We have our business page, Ambitiously Dedicated, and we have the podcast. And we also got TikTok.
Yes.
With the 80K podcast on there as well. I'm on TikTok as well. Not really moving as much as I am on Instagram, just because I like the Instagram platform. But guys, we're there. We're there for resources. We're there to help you, and we're there to provide value. So tap in or get tapped out.
All right, yeah,
right.
tap in or get tapped out. Okay, guys,
Yes.
make sure you guys check it out. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. And share this to a friend who you know is going through a healing journey, who you know needs to do the inner work. Maybe just give her a little bit of a push and be like, watch this episode. But our next guest will be Chelsea Vega. She came from the Suns. She made the Elvira jerseys, so I can't
Oh,
wait for you
nice.
guys to see it. Peace.
Word.
Awesome. All right, guys.
Cool. Awesome.
Wrap.
All right, yeah, what'd you guys think?
I
Welcome
love it.
to
It
the
was
pod.
great.
Oh,
Yo,
thank
this
you.
is
I'm
soul
grateful.
vibes
Thank
and
you.
all that.
Yeah,
This was
thank
good
you for
money.
having
This
us.
was
Yeah,
dope.
no,
Yeah.
like it's just about the inner work, and
Yeah.
just like this will be about being a better version of ourselves, but it starts
Yeah.
from inside.
Yep.
Yeah.
People think it was outside. Even I thought it was outside. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cut my hair.
Yeah.
You feel like shit after that. You're like, fuck, why the fuck?
Dang,
did
I
it feel
tripping. I
good?
can't. Now I gotta wait. Yeah,
Can't even
nah.
feel good after my
Everything is
haircut.
inside.
I was gonna go to Starbucks and Ulta. What happened?
Yeah.
I can't even do
Nah.
A lot
that.
of people
anymore.
don't talk about a lot of this stuff, man. That's why I like to be vulnerable. I like to be vulnerable. That's my favorite thing, is talk about my flaws. So a lot of people don't talk about their flaws, because they're like, everybody, but everybody's going through it.
Yeah.
Everybody going through it.
Yeah,
financial trouble,
everybody
I'm
is.
going through it.
Yeah.
Relationship, going through it.
Yeah.
Hey, weight loss journey,
Yeah.
going through it.
Yeah.
You want to prep right now?
Yeah.
Going through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's
Yeah,
going through it.
yeah.
But everybody don't, it's like everybody's going through the same thing. We're
Yeah.
all trying to chase life.
Yep. And I think
Yeah.
this is the
Well-
part where we have to realize is that we're all in a healing journey, and it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't stop at 50. It's gonna keep going and going.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
you're
This
gonna
is
be
lifelong,
better.
man. It's
Yeah.
lifelong.
What show are you doing? What show are you doing?
Pittsburgh Crow.
The Pittsburgh Pro?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be
Oh.
out
If you
there.
want to take a picture of
It's
us
gonna be
real quick,
dope.
please,
It's
please,
gonna be
please.
dope. Yeah.
Because I follow
take a
bodybuilding
picture.
heavy.
Oh, yeah. So you know
I
about
follow
it.
it.
Yeah,
I follow it all.
Yeah,
Every
man.
single day.
Word.
I need to be doing this show.
Hey, man, listen when you ready. You know what I mean?
Yep. I need to be doing the show big time.
I'm like, man, it was such a good episode. I can't wait for
This was
everybody
dope.
to see it.
Yeah, I
And-
think a lot of
Good
people
job.
don't talk about this stuff, so
Yeah.
I'm happy about everything.
Cool.
Yeah.
You good?
Hey, he's gonna do his best.
$1 million photo.
No, hell yeah, hell yeah.
$1 million photo.
I know. No more Chris Brown. We're gonna be at the 1,000.
We got one more?
One more, guys. One more. We gotta get one
Yeah, I
more.
wanted to
for
elaborate
sure.
on that Chris
Yeah.
Brown thing so much. I was
Oh, I
like,
know.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
All right.
Honestly,
What thing?
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me, so we can, because we're going to give you guys a shout out before we
yeah,
actually.
Oh,
let's do it.
absolutely.
Here, dude.
Yeah, send me the collaboration reel.
I'm mic'd up already.
Take
Yeah.
your mic off and then just hold your mic and then pass
Okay,
it.
All right.
let's do it.
Okay. Oh, you got the, listen, I'm prepping. Name of the podcast.
The Realness Lounge
The
podcast.
Realness Lounge Podcast. All right. All right.
Going through it.
The Realness Lounge. All right.
That was fun to know.
Yeah, man, it's no joke. I gotta go eat. I can't wait to get home. The Realness
Yeah.
Lounge Podcast.
How
Let me
many
know when you're
calories
ready.
you doing today?
Well, I'm at 2,000, but it felt. Well, here's the thing. I was at, man, like 5,000
Yeah.
during the season. So
Yeah.
My junk got 2,000. I'm tripping.
Yeah.
boy.
The realness podcast.
The Realness Lounge
The
podcast.
realness lounge. All right, I'm good. You ready?
Off,
Yeah.
and then pass it to him, and he'll pass it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll pass it to me.
Yeah.
And then
So
you'll pass it. Okay.
I'll hit you. I'll swing to you, and then you'll both pass to them.
All right.
Work?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, ready? What's going on, you guys? 80K checking in here, and I was a part of an amazing podcast, the Realness Lounge podcast. Please go check out the episode. It was so good, so dope, and so vulnerable, and so personable. And that's how we grow, by allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, knowing, oh, there is a possibility someone could take this and turns it into something, whether it's wanting to manipulate or pick on, but we growing. And I don't even care what that look like. We grown. We mature enough to put that out there. So I want to just give a special shout out to that podcast, but we're gonna let them give a little bit about share who they are, what they do, and where you're gonna find them next.
Right, yeah. What's up, guys? I'm Raquel with the Realness Lounge podcast, and this podcast is about being real, authentic, and true to yourself, which I thank 80K Podcast and Grupo Strength for coming on and just really showing out. This podcast is about doing the inner work and being who you are, but just also, it's the physical side, but it's also the inner work and what we tell ourselves daily to really grow. So make sure you guys check it out. And we got Laquan in the building.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing? Y'all can find me at Laquan Red on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And also, Quan said the first podcast. I have my own thing going on too.
Yep.
But I love working with Raquel, and I'm the guest host here. So, check me out. Realness Lounge Podcast on Instagram. Super dope. It's about inner working on yourself, talking about things that we don't usually talk about, out in the open. So that's what this platform is about.
What's up, guys? I'm Coach.
Hold on.
Okay.
I want to give you your own thing.
Oh, okay.
So you give to her.
Oh yeah, now it's, you guys are good.
Oh,
That way
gotcha.
you give
Gotcha.
your own thing.
Okay,
Cool,
okay.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Different.
Alright.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're
I
good.
just want to make sure you
Yeah,
do
no,
it.
that's
you're
perfect. Okay, ready?
Three.
What's up, guys? Coach Grupo here. Listen, we just wrapped up an amazing episode as guests on the Realness Lounge podcast with my brother, ADK. And all I got to say is the conversation today was deep. It was deep, and it was for a very good purpose. We talked about a lot of deep topics about inner work, working on yourself, and guys, that's what I'm passionate about. As being a coach, I'm not just trying to get people into their best shape of their life physically, but we're talking about mentally, spiritually, and it all starts from within, guys. You know what I mean? Starts with the mind. You develop a strong mind, the body's going to follow, and that's what we were talking about today. So I would encourage everybody when the episode drops, tap in, check it out. I hope that everybody finds value in what we all discussed today, because I sure did. Just from a personal experience and sharing and exchanging the dialogue with my brothers and sisters right here, I got a lot out of it. And I would encourage you to watch, because anybody out there, I'm sure, would find value as well. What a pleasure it is to be back with my brother over here, Laquan. We have about 10 years of history. We go back pretty far. So I'm going to pass the mic to him and let him say what he's got to say now. My brother.
Yeah, thank you. That was appreciated. That's
Of course, my
heck
man.
of an introduction there.
Yeah. You
Trying
got
to
it.
follow that up, but yeah, man. We work together for a lot, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. It's good to be back, with you and everything like that. Especially meeting Tony. It's good. It's a good space in here, and just the podcast episode is just about having this space to be open to talk about things that we usually won't talk about in the open. It's things that we pray about in secret. We just want to share it on this platform. So this is what it's about, and I hope you guys watch and tap in, because you're definitely gonna get something out of it, because we're all going through things financially, spiritually, and things like that. But we just gotta put God first and let our burdens go into His hands.
Yes,
And,
sir.
Yes,
sir.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
no,
sure.
guys, thank you guys so much for coming on. I'm Raquel with the Realness Lounge podcast. It's real, authentic. I would say it's about doing the inner work and becoming the best version of you possible. Whether it's facing your inner demons or whether you're running from them, this episode will teach you to confront them and how you can grow and become a better person. So make sure you guys check it out. It'll come out next week. I'll drop the dates. But thank you guys so much for tapping in, and make sure you hit up Grupo Strength, as he's a phenomenal coach, and he wants to help you become a better version of you. So make sure you guys tap in.
Yeah.
Want to close us in prayer?
All right. You guys ready?
All right, yes.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to allow us to gather together today. But not only gather together, Lord, to be able to put some information out to the world that they need. Lord, I pray that everyone that listens to this, it resonates and it grows, Father God, and people talk about it and it spreads like a wildfire, Lord. because flower, because Lord, there's a lot of people out there hurting. There's somebody right now I'm thinking about taking their life, Lord Father God. Tell them the devil is a liar. Allow them to know that they are loved, that they are valued, and that they just need to get through this season and it will go. Because you will grow through what you go through, Lord. So we ask that you please be with them and you be with us, Lord. Allow us to continue to be the salt of the world. Walk with confidence, think with confidence, and know that our power and our love, our strength, and everything we have come from the Most High, and that's you. I pray that you bless this podcast, Lord. You bless everything they do, and you allow that your light to shine through all they do. We thank you and we love you and we give you all the glory. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
There we go, man. Yeah. There we go. The devil mad now. He's like, dang.
Like, shit, he's like, something right now. Like,
Man,
fuck.
shoot, I tried.
It was like more.
I tried, man. Oh, thank you. He's like, yeah, maybe tomorrow, man.
Like,
Shoot.
Let the mics, he's like, oh shit, right now, but tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fuck out.
He's like, man, you got some more for us?
Yeah, y'all gotta definitely try the jerky, to have you.
Yeah, for sure.
Which one is it?
I don't know if you left that for them, but
Yeah, that's for y'all.
yeah. Who
Oh,
like red? Who like blue?
shit.
Or y'all can split it.
Oh, I
take
like
the
red.
flavors.
Here, I'll
You like
take
red?
You like
Yeah,
blue?
blue.
You gotta match your outfit.
Yeah, you good. You got the whole outfit joint going on there. Word.
No, this is dope. Yeah,
Let's
what
go,
is
let's
This is bomb. Yeah.
Yo,
There's an extra one in there too.
I got
Got the blue.
I got the
We're
red.
going you call
Did you guys tap in? La Fiera?
I'm gonna go.
Is it La Fiera?
Lafayette?
Oh, okay, La Fiera. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, this is dope.
Sure is.
So it's just beef jerky. And it's oh, and it's colored too. Oh, my dad gonna grub on this. No, thank you guys.
Yeah, I know.
My dad gonna be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you want more? That's your one.
Oh shit, yeah, let me get it.
Let's get a picture.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, this was a good episode. A lot of gems in this episode.
I honestly, dude, like inner work is
Gems.
the key to everything in your life is inner work.
Yep.
Cause I mean, you can get your hair cut, you can go to the gym, you can do, but what are you doing inside here?
What are you doing inside, huh? Yeah.
We take a picture here, low key. But how do we get a picture with it? Or
We can just turn around and take a picture
Oh,
this
okay.
way, just so it
Alright,
could be a little
ready?
different. Cause this actually looks pretty tight, right?
Are you
here.
ready?
Yeah.
Hey, hell yeah! And I'm not blind this time. I'm not squinting my eyes.
Let's do one right facing
Oh yeah.
this way too.
Oh, we could do a content one too, behind the scenes. Let's do like a behind the scenes, right?
Alright,
I
yeah.
forgot because they gave us a discount on the actual price. It was $150,
Real?
but we got 75. Okay, ready?
Sheesh.
Ready? Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be like, all right, guys, this is where the magic happens. So if you guys want to get your podcast created, you can book this space. A lot of people don't know that there's a podcast space in Peoria, but there is.
All right. I'm gonna hit you. I'm just gonna go.
Okay, ready?
All right, ready and boom.
What's up, guys? It's another season of the Realness Lounge podcast. And if you want to start your own podcast, make sure you guys check out the 48 Labs. This is exactly how it looks. So professional. They got the Rode mics. They got the real mics. They got the official mics. Those are the Rode mics. Those are expensive as shit. And then also, they have the setup here where they can just record the button for you and you're good to go. So the setup's amazing, guys. So make sure you guys go check out the 48 Labs. It's not in Phoenix. It's not in Tempe. It's in the West Side. So all my West Side people who love to come, who go all the way down to Phoenix, you don't got to do that. Pull up. It's in Peoria. I'll drop the link right here, but make sure you tap into 48 Labs. Shout out to La Fiera. Shout out to La Fiera.
Yeah, I'm excited for
There's
you.
another blue in here.
I'm excited.
Oh,
yeah.
Enjoy, guys.
no, thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Man, I feel like it was an amazing podcast. Bro.
Super dope episode.
Like damn, I wasn't expecting so much, but there was a lot of vulnerability.
Yeah, for real, for real. Alright, cool.
What's up, guys? It's another season
This is dope.